On September 10th, 2019, Apple unveiled the iPhone 11 Pro. And the main question that arose back then was, if Pro is for professionals, where exactly is the Pro in this phone? It's a very fair question, because what kind of professionalism are we talking about when the body scratches? The Lightning port is inconvenient for its intended purposes, and the cameras are good, but nothing more. Essentially, Pro was a marketing term slapped onto a luxury object. Pro meant premium materials, not a professional philosophy. This was reflected in its appearance: premium materials, premium calm, sophisticated colors. And then comes the iPhone 17 Pro. Its flagship color is being called Nickelodeon Orange online. Instead of solid premium titanium, it uses aluminum. And the main feedback on how it feels is weirdly rubbery, and like it's already in a case, even when it's not. So what's happening? Did Apple make a mistake, or are we witnessing the birth of a new design philosophy? To figure this out, we need to answer a few questions. First, why does the new iPhone look like it was designed not in Cupertino, but at the North Face headquarters? And how does the trend of wearing expensive hiking gear in the city center explain the design of our primary gadget? Second, what if I told you that Apple didn't invent anything new, but returned to a forgotten 100-year-old principle? A principle that was too brutalist even for Johnny Ive. And the main question, how does this weirdly rubbery body and ridiculous orange color activate an ancient mechanism in our brain, one forged 2 million years ago? A mechanism that makes us feel smarter and stronger just by holding this phone in our hand. The iPhone 17 Pro is shown in a state that Apple usually tries to never let anyone see its products in. And these are nuts and raisins, good old raisins and peanuts. GORP, the acronym that spawned the ironic name for the Gorpcore fashion style. This name went viral in 2017 and describes what is perhaps the biggest fashion trend of the last decade. The phenomenon where utilitarian functional clothing designed for survival in the mountains becomes the ultimate status symbol in the concrete jungle. Brands like Arc'teryx, Patagonia and Salomon have transformed from niche gear into the uniform of the creative class. And this isn't just a trend for hiking style. It's a fundamental shift in what we consider premium. The old premium, the Virtus of the world, screamed its status through obvious markers of wealth. Gold, diamonds, crocodile leather. It was a direct signal: I have a lot of money. A $600 Arc'teryx jacket works differently. It speaks to something else: competence. Its message isn't that you can afford an expensive item. Its message is that you understand why it costs so much. You appreciate the Gore-Tex membrane technology, the thoughtful construction, the functionality. We'll come back to how these are just different ways of satisfying the same need. But for now, let's look at the iPhone 17 Pro again. This, at first glance, cartoonish Nickelodeon Orange or deeper blue, these aren't the colors of a luxury sedan. These are the colors of a signal buoy, a climbing rope, or a life vest. These are the colors of a tool. Instead of the polished titanium of the Air, here we have matte lightweight aluminum. This is a step not towards a piece of jewelry, but towards efficient heat dissipation. And finally, that tactile sensation, weirdly rubbery like it's in a case, is a direct quote from the language of Gorpcore. The phone doesn't feel like a fragile treasure, but like a durable device ready for work. Again, let's set aside the fact that the feel and positioning don't necessarily match the actual functionality. That's not so important for us right now. We're doing a breakdown of a fundamental shift in design philosophy, not a tech review. Essentially, Apple didn't just create a phone, it created an accessory for this new cultural code, the anti-air iPhone. It tells the world not "I am rich, but I am a professional, I value function, I'm in the know." Although, of course, it's not the iPhone saying this, but its owner trying to demonstrate this about themselves with the purchase. This cultural shift towards valuing function and demonstrating competence isn't just a trend, it's the very foundation of great product design. And learning to think like a professional, to see the why behind an object's form and material, is a skill that can be developed. That's why when I want to deepen my own understanding, I turn to Skillshare. To prepare for this video, for example, I went through a fantastic class called Product Design: How to Launch Successful Products. What I love about it is that the instructors are practicing designers who show you with real-world examples how the honesty of a tool is born, how the choice of a specific texture or the weight of aluminum directly impacts how we perceive its function and quality. It's not just about making things look good, it's about making them feel competent. This allows me as a creator to see not just gadgets, but the behavioral architecture built into them. And what's great about Skillshare is how it supports this holistic view. I can start with a course on industrial design, then immediately jump to a 3D modeling class in Blender to visualize my ideas, or take a photography course to learn how to better capture these honest objects. It's a huge ecosystem of knowledge taught by world-class practitioners who are shaping the industry. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. So, Apple is creating a tool that signals competence. But this pivot towards a more functional, purpose-built design for their pro users isn't a new idea for them. In fact, this isn't even the first time this has happened within Apple. Apple unveils a computer for professionals that looks like an artifact from the future. And in 2019, it shows a new computer for professionals that looks like a piece of kitchen equipment. They remove physical keys to give us a futuristic touch display. And a few years later, they bring everything back, admitting that professionals needed regular keys more than a glowing strip. What unites all these seemingly backward steps? The rejection of the elegant cylinder for a perforated box, the rejection of the touch bar for keys, and as we see now, the rejection of premium titanium in the iPhone for utilitarian aluminum. These aren't steps backward. This is a pivot. To understand where Apple is pivoting, we need to go back to 1896. Form ever follows function. This principle, articulated by architect Louis Sullivan and later becoming the manifesto of the German Bauhaus School of Design, sounds simple. But the entire history of design is essentially the history of different interpretations of this phrase. And Johnny Ive, without a doubt a design genius, was its chief interpreter at Apple for 20 years. His philosophy was rooted in truth to materials and aesthetic minimalism. Remove everything superfluous. Refine the form to its absolute ideal. It was this philosophy that gave birth to design icons. But it also, when misapplied, created monsters. The Cylinder Mac Pro is beautiful, compact and innovative, but its form offered no modularity, which is vital for professionals. The touch bar was an elegant idea, but it removed tactile feedback, which is critical for those who work by touch. The new iPhone Pro, like the new MacBooks, is not just a new design. It's a new, or rather a very old interpretation of that same principle. It's a return to functional minimalism. The cheese grater on the Mac Pro's case isn't decoration. It's the maximum possible surface area for cooling, function becoming form. Physical keys aren't an archaism. They are the most efficient method of interaction, function becoming form. And in the iPhone 17 Pro, aluminum isn't about saving money. It's the best material for heat dissipation, and it's lightweight. Not to make the phone lighter, it actually got heavier, but to lighten the chassis to make room for a bigger battery. The protruding camera block serves the same purpose. It's not a design flaw, but a compromise for the sake of optics that don't fit into a thin body. Again, function defines form, even if that form seems ugly to some. This is that brutalist principle that Ive seemed to abandon in his pursuit of a certain kind of elegance. For a universal aesthetic of minimalism and premiumness while still using the principle of material honesty. However, as cultural tides turn, so do the methods of decision-making. This philosophy explains the logic of the new design, but it doesn't explain why this seemingly crude and utilitarian design gives us such a strange satisfaction. Not for everyone, but people are generally pleased. To understand this, we need to descend from the level of design theory to the deepest level, into the firmware of our brain. Imagine a human who lived 2 million years ago. He's already using primitive stone tools. But he knows that 40 kilometers from here, across the savannah, there's a deposit of flint that is noticeably harder and sharper. And so he goes there. He spends days, risks his life to bring back not just a rock, but a better rock. Now imagine a modern photographer who will spend hours studying reviews to choose the perfect tripod. Or a programmer who pays $300 for a mechanical keyboard because it has the right key travel and the right sound. What do the ancient human seeking the right stone and we have in common? Why do we feel such a deep, almost irrational attachment to a good tool? The answer is that our brain doesn't perceive a quality tool as something separate. It perceives it as an extension of the body. Studies show that after working with a tool, the brain literally incorporates it into its somatosensory map. Simply put, the tool becomes part of ourself. Therefore, its functionality is directly linked to our sense of our own competence. A good hammer doesn't just make the nail better driven, it makes us a better carpenter. This is precisely why utilitarian design evokes that strange satisfaction. It activates the most ancient evaluation mechanisms. And the key concept here is cognitive fluency. Cognitive fluency is the ease with which our brain processes information. And our brain is lazy. It likes what is immediately understandable without effort. And information that is easy to process is automatically perceived by us as more true, reliable, and even beautiful. Honest utilitarian design has higher cognitive fluency because its function is self-evident. When we see a perforated grill, we immediately understand this is for cooling. When we see a large textured button, we understand this is easy to grip. The form doesn't try to deceive us or impress us with its beauty. The form honestly explains its function. Our brain reads this in milliseconds, ticks a box on its good, understandable tool checklist, and gives us a small dose of dopamine. There it is, that satisfaction. It's not aesthetic delight, it's neurobiological approval. And this doesn't just happen with gadgets. Look at the trend of masculine minimalism in interiors. Raw concrete, steel, and wood. No decoration for decoration's sake. Every element has a purpose. It's the same philosophy, just on a different scale. Less isn't more, less is more honest. It's time to connect the three threads. The cultural trend of competence over wealth, the return to century-old principles of functional design, our brain's deep-seated need for honest tools. This in no way means that this is the only way to evoke a purchasing emotion, nor does it mean that this approach to design and positioning is more honest or conversely more manipulative. Any communication, even a simple conversation, is about influencing each other. Every interaction has goals, and not understanding these goals doesn't make them altruistic, just as understanding them doesn't make them deceptive. So what does this mean for Apple? It means they have made a brilliant move. They are no longer trying to sell the same ideal of premium to everyone. They've split it. Now they have premium as decoration, that's the iPhone Air, light, thin, in elegant colors. Status as aesthetic pleasure. And they have premium as capability, that's the iPhone Pro. Utilitarian, honest, functional. Status as a demonstration of competence, although there is a narrow segment of people for whom the ultimate package was important. The same buyers of new top-of-the-line Range Rover models with incredible off-road capabilities that will most likely never be used. There's nothing wrong with loving good and expensive things, with caring about approval, with using symbols to achieve it. That's just how we're wired. Apple's job is to catch cultural shifts in time and steer them in the right direction, never losing sight of our timeless, deep-seated triggers. And this dichotomy is perfectly demonstrated in the two iPhone lineups. To understand the full picture, be sure to watch my breakdown of the iPhone Air's design. See you there.